Hello everyone, my name is Mr. B and welcome back to another video. So I have been playing gacha games for a very long time. I've been playing gacha games even before I became a weeb degenerate that I am today. Why? Because I love them. I just love gacha games overall. They're really fun to play, they're easy to pick up, and they're just fun. And I figure, why not use all that love and knowledge that I've gained throughout my years of playing gacha games and make a series dedicated to talking about gacha games, whether they're new or old, whether I like them or I don't like them. This series is all about me talking about gacha games. And I figured, what better way than to kick this series off than talking about the newest game that I've been playing, Reverse 1999. Reverse 99 is a game that is made by Bluepock, who I think is a pretty big gacha gaming company. I can't think of a game that they made at the top of my head. Maybe I have played it, maybe I have not. I don't know. But it's made by Bluepock, and it's a game that caught my attention because of the art style, the aesthetics, and the story, all of which I'm going to talk about later. So the game's whole premise is time does not move past 1999. Instead, everything goes back in time once it hits 1999. Hence the name Reverse 1999. So you have settings in the game that takes place in the 60s, in the 20s, and probably other settings in time before 1999. This gives a wide range of different types of character designs for the characters. If the characters are from the 20s, they're looking very sophisticated, very elegant, or looking very ragged, depending on who their character are and where they're from. I think character designs are really important in gacha games. I think character designs is probably the second most important part of a gacha game behind the story, in my opinion. And so you want the characters to pull people in. And that's what this game did. The characters definitely did pull people in, including myself. And I think they're just really, really well designed characters in general. And not only are they well designed, there's just so much variety. There's a talking apple, a talking sword, a UFO, a flipping glass shard. There's so much variety that it's insane, and no other gacha game that I could think of has this much range of variety in terms of the characters. It's not just limited to humans and even furries. It's inanimate objects, and I think that's just really, really cool and really interesting. I love the character designs a lot, but I will say there's no like one character that pulled me in. Usually in a gacha game, you can sort of pinpoint a character that you want the most, you really want the most. For Honkai Star Rail, for a lot of people, it was Kafka. For Arknights, I don't know, Surtur. And there's different types of characters for a lot of different gacha games, and usually there's at least one character that you're like, I'm gonna play this game because I want to get them. But for Reverse 1999, there's no character in particular that made me want to play the game. Granted, I haven't seen every single character in the game, but those that I've seen, they look good, but they're not like outstandingly good. Let's say there is a new event with a character that I really, really want to pull. The name's Pickles and it's a dog. Really adorable. You get to play as a dog. Touching a bit about the characters and more specifically about the art, I think this is the prettiest gacha game that I ever played, period. And I'm not talking about pretty in terms of like, oh, this looks good graphically. This looks amazing because obviously it's not the best in terms of like graphical quality compared it to even Hoyoverse games like Honkai Star Rail, Genshin, and whatever. It doesn't hold a candle to these games. But when I say pretty, I think about the overall art and the aesthetics of the game, from the trailers to the still images in the story to the characters to the background. Everything is just so gorgeous, and it is what drew a lot of people into this game, including myself. And I'm really happy that it is consistent throughout the entire game. Something else that I want to talk about, of course, is the animation. I think the animation overall looks pretty good. Again, it's nothing like the Hoyoverse games, but for this type of game, it is pretty good. I like that the characters actually move in the story. It's not like Bang Dream movements like live 2D, I think it is. Not like that, but just certain movements, change of expressions, everything. That's always welcome, of course. And speaking of the character movements in the story, I am a big fan of voice acting in stories. I think it allows me as the reader to be more engaged with the story. It is a problem that I have with games like Fate Go or Arknights, where the story is good, but without voice acting, it's kind of hard to focus because at that point you're just reading a novel. So with this, I feel like I'm actually reading like more so a visual novel than an actual novel. Speaking of the voice acting, apparently this game was designed with English voice acting as the primary voice for this game, which is really interesting because most games have like Chinese or Japanese as like the main language, because most of these games were released in either China or Japan first. And I believe Reverse 99 was first released in China. And what makes it even more cooler though is that every single character has accents. If they're from English, they sound very British. If they're from America, they sound very American. If they're from Japan, they have a Japanese accent. That alone is really cool because it makes the characters feel more authentic and adds variety to the game, which I really, really love. It's one of the things that I love from the recent Art Knights English voiceovers, where the characters have accents, which is really, really cool. Now, let me say this: I love the voice acting. I think the voice acting, well, not some of them not be the best, but they were still pretty fun. I really do love the voice acting in general. But I will say this: they sound very, very British, or at least they make this game just feel so British. If the characters is British, oh boy, they sound very, very posh. At least I think it's posh. I'm not an expert in accents, but I think it's posh. And yeah, it's just so funny seeing like a natural American accent talking, and then all of a sudden this posh, very, very strong English British voice acting, and I think it's funny. It's not jarring or anything. I just think it's funny, and again, adds to the charm of the game. And talking about voice acting, the main character also speaks, which is really, really nice, and it's something that I really love. And I want to talk about the main character of it. The main character is already different from a lot of other gacha games in that the character doesn't have amnesia, and it's not a nameless character. The character you're playing is called Verdun. That is her name. She is the timekeeper. I will explain more on that later. But she has a name, she has a backstory, and she has motivations. These three already make her more interesting than 90% of the gacha games I have played. Verdun is, to me, the best part of this game. This coupled with just really good design overall. I really like her character design, and she has the best voice acting in the game. She's just overall just a really good main character. She is someone that I want to explore more so than anyone else. She and the world that we're in this game are the stuff that I really want to explore more in this world. And I'm really, really happy that they made the main character so interesting. Now, of course, this being a game, I had to talk a bit about the gameplay. Now, at this point in time, I've only read up to chapter 2 of the game, so there might be stuff that I haven't unlocked yet. In terms of the basic gameplay, the game is very similar to Fate Go, where you have these action cards and you can either use them to perform an action, or you can use an action to sort of move the cards around, combine two same cards together to create a stronger card. That is the overall gameplay of this game. Overall, it's not too difficult. It does get a bit strategic at times, which is quite good in my opinion, but personally, I don't think it's the best. At least it's not for me personally. It's not bad by any means. It's just maybe not for me. At this point in time, I can't really talk about grinding for materials and all that because I'm very early in the game, so I don't really have the need to grind for materials yet. Hello, this is Future Me, and so this video was actually recorded a few weeks ago. So by this point in time, I've already made some significant progress in the game already. And in terms of the grinding, I think the grinding is really good. As you can see on your screen right now, all you need to do is just click the amount of times you want to grind, and it will subtract that from your energy. And then the game will automatically repeat what you originally did before this. It's really good, and it actually makes the grinding aspect really easy. I personally am a big fan of this. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the grinding. Anyway, back to the video. I also really like the sort of like base thing. You sort of like build an island for you, which I think is really unique. So far, I think the game is a mix of easy and difficult. I think some of the boss fights are, I wouldn't say difficult, but a bit challenging, especially if you aren't prepared for it. If you aren't using the right units, it could be a teeny bit difficult, but definitely not impossible to beat. Oh yeah, and the gacha. I haven't really tested this out because I'm not a whale. I don't really spend a lot of money on gacha games. Well, I have spent money on this one, but just a tiny amount just to test out the gacha. It's fine. I have what, two, three, 5 stars already. Pretty good. There's a beginner banner. I mean, I don't know what more do you want. It's the gacha. It's entirely luck based. It's fine. Finally, I want to talk about the story, and this is going to be a bit difficult because I think the story is very, very difficult to explain. So, like I mentioned before, what happens in this world is that time does not pass 1999. Instead, time gets reversed through this event called the storm. What is the storm? I don't really know. They might explain it in the story, and it's one of the biggest, I guess, questions in the story, at least so far. And usually during these storms, people don't realize what's happening. The only people that do realize, at least from my understanding, it's the Arcanists, and this is people born with soul-like mutants in a way, sort of can wield magic some way, maybe some part of their gene. I'm not really sure. Again, it's a bit complicated, and they are probably the only ones that could recognize the storm. Now, saying that, not all Arcanists can brave the storm. Even though these Arcanists might know the storm is coming, but they might not be able to withstand the storm. The only person that could withstand the storm is the Timekeeper, which is you, the main character, who is the only Timekeeper in this world. And only the Timekeeper can brave the storm, and as the storm happens, the Timekeeper is transported back in time to someplace that I think is random, or maybe a specific point in time in history. I think I'm using a lot of I thinks because the story is pretty complicated, and like I said, I haven't read all of it. So the story focuses on you as Verdun, as the timekeeper, to explore more about yourself and about the storm, what happens in the storm, why the storm is happening, and all kinds of stuff happens. Personally, the story is really, and I mean really interesting. When I first heard about the game, obviously I took a look to see what this game is all about, checked the website and everything, and I read the synopsis. And this is the first gacha game that I could think of that I am very much mainly interested in this gacha game because of its story. Sure, like I said, I was drawn in by the aesthetics and the character designs and everything. But what made me really want to try this game was when I read the synopsis and trying to understand what the hell the story is about. Because reading the synopsis, I did not understand what the hell is going on. Watching the trailers, got some idea of what's going on, but not really a clue of what actually is going on. So, having experienced one whole chapter and a bit of chapter two, just starting chapter two, is incredible. I really, really love the story. I really love the characters. I really love the world. I think it's really interesting. It has some really cool moments. And overall, I think the game is so far story wise is so interesting. And look at the trailers. I'm really excited for some of the future chapters that I'm going to be able to read. And again, Verdun in the story is such an interesting character. That said, I do want to point out something that I have noticed people complaining about, but something that I haven't experienced personally. So apparently, there's a problem in this game in terms of the translation. Even though this game was made with English in mind, the writing, the dialogue seems a bit off. At least that's what a lot of people says. I'm not really entirely sure what they mean by that. But apparently the this is what results in some of the voice acting being not the best. At least not the voice acting in particular, but the dialogues not being exactly the best. Again, personally, I didn't really realize this because I was just engrossed with the voice acting, really having fun with the voice acting. Or maybe I did realize this, but I just didn't pay too much attention to it because I'm just enjoying the story so far. Apparently, this does get better as you progress through the story. At least that's what people have been saying. That's not something that I can confirm myself. So do let me know down in the comments below if that is the case. So yeah, I think it is worth mentioning that because that might put off some people in terms of reading the story. Overall, having played this game for a while and considering everything that I've just said, I think Reverse 1999 is very refreshing. It has very similar playstyles, gameplay, whatever, to some other gacha games out there. But what the developers did for this game with the voice acting, the story, especially the aesthetics, everything about this game just feels so refreshing. It's really cool that despite all the gacha games that we have, there is still a gacha game that changes things up. And I'm glad it's not a MiHoYo game as well because I like MiHoYo, but let some other people get a chance, alright? And yeah, I think that's all that I want to talk about this game right now. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think about the game. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.